Hi, Maria here. Welcome to my channel. Today, I'm excited to bring to you a video about my latest acquisitions, but also a couple new fragrances that I tried that I think you guys might want to know my thoughts on. Maybe you don't care, but anyway, you're going to hear about it. Before I get started, if you haven't subscribed, just go ahead and hit that button. Join the Weird and Wonderful family. It would be amazing to have you part of the community. And let's get into this. First of all, I just want to say thank you for your patience. I haven't put out many videos lately. I ended up getting quite sick, so I'm trying to get over it. About 70% there. I'll be fine. Like, it's not a big deal, but as a result, I haven't been able to film. So I haven't even been able to edit, honestly. Anyway, the uploads might be a little bit slow for a little while and then they'll get back to normal. But just so that you know, I have missed doing videos and talking about fragrances. And so let's get into this. The first one I want to do is an unboxing actually with you guys of Olfactive Studios Close Up. Now, this is not a fragrance that is new to me. I know the fragrance and absolutely love it, but I thought I would share with you what the packaging is like on Olfactive Studios when you get it. So this is the box, and of course the name of it is Close Up. So here's the packaging, and they always include a photo that is kind of, I don't know if the fragrance inspires the photo or the photo inspires the fragrance, or if it's just a collab that they do, but this is done by Søren Melvenian, and that is, I think, a picture of an eyeball. Anyway, let's get to the fragrance. This is the bottle. As far as the sprayer is concerned, nice fine mist, and I am in love with this. This is the best cherry fragrance ever. Like, I'm serious, guys. If you want a stellar cherry fragrance that's not a clone of anything, this is the one to get. This is kind of, to me, this is what's inspired or triggered Tom Ford's Lost Cherry and all the other cherries. This fragrance is magnificent. I'm going to read you the notes. We've got cherry, spices, and coffee in the opening. Definitely get that little hit of coffee. Definitely the spices in that cherry is that deep, dark, boozy cherry that I absolutely love. In the heart, you have white tobacco, patchouli, atlas cedar, and rose. The base is tonka bean, amber, and musk. What I get is just this beautiful, deep, rich cherry with a little hint of tobacco, not much. To me, white tobacco is a lot more flowery feeling than like tobacco. So but it does add kind of a bit of almost like humidity. So if you were to go into a cigar shop where it's kind of humid and you get a little bit of that tobacco smell, that's kind of what I feel like white tobacco adds. But not straight up full on tobacco, but mixed with that cherry and the spices and the coffee just kind of deepens it. I think it's amazing. Now, what blows my mind is that if you look on Fragrantica, they get 3.68 out of 5 stars, which to me doesn't even make sense, because honestly, this is just such a phenomenal cherry fragrance. I don't get it. It's my favorite cherry fragrance, and I love Cherry Punk. I love Tom Ford Lost Cherry. I love Venom of Love. Like, I love those cherry fragrances, but this one to me is just slightly different, a little bit more sexy, maybe a little bit more moody. Some people find it to be a little bit animalic. I don't notice the animalic aspect. I just think it's deep, dark, delicious, and perfect for fall. So I'm in love with it. Love with it. The next 2 fragrances that I've just recently gotten are from Meleg Perfumes, and it's Temple of Horus and Temple of Horus 2. I can remember way back when I did have a sample of Temple of Horus, and I find these fragrances to be so interesting. So Matthew Meleg, he's kind of like, he's a storyteller, I would say, in fragrance. So he really wanted to kind of encapsulate the smell of ancient Egypt and what the smell would have been like in the actual Temple of Horus. Now, that temple has been so well preserved. Allegedly, there's incense recipes that are written or inscribed into the walls. So he kind of used that as his inspiration. So I'm going to kind of talk about the idea behind them, and then I'll get into the notes. So basically, he wanted to create a morning fragrance and then kind of an afternoon, more meditational one. The main note, or the star note in Temple of Horus, is frankincense, whereas the star note in Horus 2 is the myrrh. And the idea of starting with frankincense is that it's uplifting, it's mood boosting, it's energizing, which is what they would have used for a morning incense. And then in the afternoon, you'd get into more of a meditative state potentially. So then you switch to something that's a little softer, a little bit earthier, thus the myrrh. So I'm going to break down the notes for you. So for Temple of Horus 1, you have juniper and cardamom in the opening. Then you have hojari frankincense, cedar, and myrrh in the heart, and the base is benzoin. This fragrance, I definitely get just a burst of juniper and frankincense. It's very uplifting. It feels quite piney or balsamy. It reminds me of walking through a forest in the early morning where you're getting all the smells of the balsam trees all around you. The air is crisp and it's super energizing. It's just super uplifting, and it kind of awakens your senses, I guess is what I would say. So it's a really fun fragrance to wear. I do feel like this leans just ever so slightly masculine, but it is definitely unisex. I think of masculine because when I think of those balsam notes being the prominent notes, I think of more masculine fragrances. That said, I really enjoy wearing this one, and the longevity is just crazy great. So you're gonna get like 9-10 plus hours with this fragrance, and it settles down. You never lose that balsam, but it just settles down. It gets a little bit sweeter as it dries down, but it always just feels super energizing and awakening, basically. Now, I think my favorite out of the two was Temple of Horus 2. I had a few of my fragrance friends try these, and overwhelmingly, everyone enjoyed Temple of Horus 1 more than Horus 2. I think I enjoyed Horus 2 better, and that's because I'm really loving soft, kind of irisy, orusy type feeling fragrances these days, and that's what this gives me. So Horus 2 has pink lotus and myrrh. It's got orris butter, cedar, and tonka bean. And kind of the sub name of this one is myrrh and floral suede, and I think that that's a perfect name for it. So when thinking about this being kind of more of a meditative type of incense that you might have experienced in the Temple of Horus back in ancient Egypt days, what I like about this one is I just imagine being on the ground, like in the earth, grounding. So where this one is energizing, uplifting, invigorating, kind of awakening, this one is more meditative and grounding and soothing and calming. And so I really like this, probably too because my personality is amped up to 10 most of the time. So I really actually enjoy this as being just a beautiful, restful, grounding fragrance, honestly. So this has, what I get mostly is orris butter or an irisy feel with that myrrh. So it's absolutely beautiful. I find it very calming. It's a lot softer than the Horus 1. So Horus 1 will outperform as far as sillage and being able to smell it. This one's a little closer to the skin, but I just enjoy wearing this one so much. This one feels like the fragrance that you put on when you just want to smell something soft and grounding. If you were to meditate, to me, this would be a great fragrance, honestly, to put on. So I really, really enjoy it. I enjoy that orris butter so much. It's very smooth. It does feel kind of suede-y, so the name to me is perfect. I don't notice any of that pink lotus. And as far as cedar is concerned, I don't really notice that. It gets a little sweeter on the skin as you wear it. So I think iris with a little bit of that tonka is the feel. So iris / orris butter. I don't really know the difference. I would have to smell the materials, but in my mind, what I feel like is iris is a little bit cooler. And I do feel like this is a cool fragrance. So the other thing about this is it's brightening, it's energizing, whereas this one is a little bit more of a cooling effect. Thinking about the heat of the day and then going and sitting on the ground kind of thing. But there's this beautiful earthiness. And whereas Iris to me is a little bit thinner and a little bit colder, I find Orris Butter to be almost feeling a little bit more round, a little bit more thick and smooth, but still kind of that powdery feel. So I just think that this is beautiful. Personally, I think that this would make such a neat fragrance combination for a married couple or an anniversary, because they also actually smell like I've worn them together and they smell amazing together. So I just think this is such a neat little capsule of fragrance. Yeah, currently I think he's selling these together, although you could always message him. It's possible he'll sell them separately. And then I believe he's got the travel sprays of them. I love the bottles with the etched glass. I just think they're so pretty. And I just really find this fascinating. It's kind of historical, the idea of starting with the energizing incense in the morning and then going to a grounding meditative incense in the evening. I just think it's really cool. So really enjoy these. Now last, I want to talk about Burberry Goddess Intense and Idole Wow. I've had quite a few of you asking me about those fragrances in particular. So first of all, Idole Wow, I just really enjoyed it. It opens with rose, the heart is orchid, and the base is vanilla. I definitely got a very similar vibe to the Idole Nectar. So I get more of the actual Idole DNA in the opening. What I found was I didn't notice any orchid, but what it felt like was I got Idole with a little bit more of a spicy edge to it somehow. Then as it sits on the skin, it gets a little bit sweeter. I feel like Idole Wow is a little bit more of a grown-up version than Idole Nectar, which is flirty, fun, you know, whatever. But they're similar enough as far as the sweetness level that I wouldn't purchase Wow at this point because I only need really one Idole. If you're an Idole fan, this was a stellar release. Like, I think it's beautiful. I like I just got a hint of spice for, you know, I don't know, like for about after the first half hour, for about an hour and a half, I got this little bit of spice in there that I just thought was intoxicating. Then it kind of dries down to be a little bit more of that vanillic rose, quite sweet, beautiful fragrance. Really enjoyed it. But like I said, I've got my Idole Nectar, and for now, that's enough Idole for me. But if you are an Idole fan, you definitely need to check it out because it's definitely great. And I prefer Wow over the original. So the original to me was a little lackluster, a little boring. So I've really actually enjoyed the flankers that have been coming out. Now, the last fragrance, which everybody has been so excited about, is Burberry Goddess Intense. The notes are a little bit different. You've got lavender in the top. In the heart, you have vanilla, vanilla absolute, bourbon vanilla, and vanilla caviar. So tons of vanilla, and then the base is patchouli. This one completely lost the plot for me, to be honest. So Burberry Goddess, to me, is an absolutely gorgeous vanilla with a little bit of cacao, which kind of softens and rounds it out. The ginger adds just a hint of spice, and the lavender just kind of, again, makes it grounded, and it feels very somehow, I don't know, I just think it's an absolute gorgeous fragrance. It's one of my favorite, honestly. I absolutely love it. So I had really high hopes for Burberry Goddess Intense. And this one to me just fell flat. The lavender was there, but it just smelled like a lavender vanilla. And then with that patchouli in, the patchouli gets a bit earthy / dirty for me. It didn't add to, it didn't make it any special. Like, to me, they took it, it's one of those things where they try to make a new iteration, and they just, you know, oh, what should we do? Oh, let's add some patchouli. Let's make it intense. Let's add some patchouli. What else can we do? Well, let's just, like, you know, whatever. I was disappointed. You know, you could have, I feel like if they would have taken those top notes with the cacao, the ginger, maybe amped up those, backed the lavender off, and then added maybe a cedar, or even kept the patchouli in and did something slightly different, it would have been really cool. But to me, this was just like, oh, let's just shove some patchouli in there and take out a few notes or whatever. It reminds me of a group of like, I know this sounds terrible, but I think of like Monopoly Man, like, ha 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 ha, what can we do to change this fragrance? Oh, let's just toss this out and throw this in and boom. So I know that sounds horrible, but to me, I was just really disappointed. And yeah, the patchouli to me felt dirty. So it smelled scratchy in there. The lavender felt a little bit more harsh. And it was just really where the first one is like a smooth concoction of deliciousness. Burberry Goddess Intense is just a little harsh, a little loud. It's like the annoying uncle or something. I don't know. It didn't work for me at all. And it lost its intrigue because it lost some of that smoothness, and it lost, I don't know, it just lost out. It didn't work for me at all. What about you guys on these new fragrances, Wow or Burberry Goddess Intense? Do you like them? Like, are you a fan of them? I really enjoyed Wow, Burberry Goddess Intense. I would not waste my money on it for sure. But I look forward to seeing another flanker. Just this one just didn't do it for me. What about you guys? Have you tried them? If so, weigh in, let me know what you think. And if you've tried Close Up or the Temple of Horus fragrances from Meleg, please weigh in, tell me what you think. And other than that, I hope you have an amazing week, and we'll talk to you soon.